everyone. Thank you. Welcome to the Supply Side Central stage. Our next presentation is Ask the Experts, CANI experts up here. We've got Greg Doherty speaking. He is from Bolton and Company Insurance Brokers and Employee Benefits Consultants, and he'll be discussing product liability insurance.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I specialize in product liability insurance for dietary supplement companies, including raw materials, retailers, etc. And this insurance it's expensive, it's complicated, and everybody hates it, but I decided to make a living out of it. But I just decided today to maybe get rid of some myths that may exist in terms of what people think is covered, and equally as important, what is not covered by a policy. So let's start off with the basic, what is covered. It's bodily injury and property damage. Now, property damage liability is not really functional for this industry. So let's focus on bodily injury, which of course we see all the time in lawsuits and stuff claiming people consumed a product and were injured by that product. That's the basic thing that's covered. Now, let's look at some things that maybe people think are covered and aren't. The first one, and these are really hot topics in the industry now, I've selected 4 of them. Oh, and before I do that, there's a really important aspect of product liability policies that you need to remember. Even if the allegations against you are false, the insurance company owes you a duty to defend, even if you're completely innocent. That's a really important thing to remember. So let's talk about false advertising. Very hot topic these days. Is that covered? Well, think about it for a second. Is there any bodily injury allegation in a false advertising action against you, whether it's from the FTC, FDA, from a competitor, or a class action? Is there any allegation normally that somebody was injured in a false advertising claim? No, there isn't. Therefore, it's not covered. Unfortunately, on the front page of these policies, there's a coverage part called personal and advertising injury, and people conclude, oh my gosh, that's great, I've got coverage, but you don't. Is that coverage available anywhere? Generally, it is not. You're pretty much on your own when it comes to allegations of false advertising. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is another hot topic, product recall. Years ago, the product liability carriers wouldn't touch product recall with a 10-foot pole. Now, as the market's gotten softer and more competitive, some product recall coverage is trickling into these product liability policies, but it's not very good coverage, and don't be fooled by it, because normally it is subject to a sublimit of insurance and also normally restricted to first-party costs, meaning your costs of the recall. Most people that know about recalls know that only a small amount of the costs are going to be yours. The vast amount of the costs are going to be your customers, their lost profits, the destruction cost, attorney's cost, experts' cost. So don't be fooled when you see on the internet that so-and-so insurance company covers product recall. Dig down into the details and find out what it really is, because it really isn't very much. The next thing is Prop 65. Everyone's kind of concerned about that. And again, similar thing. Prop 65 coverage is kind of trickled in on some of these policies, but it is severely limited. So again, when you see on the internet or have some broker telling you, oh, look, you've got Prop 65 coverage, look more closely because it's extremely limited and not what you would really like to have. Now, the last thing is all of these policies have exclusion lists, ingredient exclusions. And a lot of the ingredients that are excluded, not surprisingly, are illegal, deadly, or both. But there's a lot of ingredients that are excluded by these carriers that are used commonly every day in the industry. Yohimbe, Magnolia, Kava, and several others. And if you don't know that they're there and you are selling products with these ingredients and you have a claim, you find out after the fact that you have no coverage. So I was with a fellow this morning talking about his policy. He didn't even know he had an ingredient exclusion on his policy. So we're going to get into that. But you've got to dig into the details, find out what you have, find out what you don't have, and if there's any doubt in your mind at all, find out, because we all live in a no surprises world, and the worst thing in insurance is to find out something is not covered by your policy you thought was covered after the claim. Questions?
Great.
Okay.
The Skechers false advertising followed by, I think, someone complained of bodily injury. Was that not covered by any?
I'm not that familiar with that, but again, it's pretty simple. If there's anywhere in the allegations, if there's one allegation of bodily injury, that will trigger coverage. Okay. Usually in a lawsuit, there are scores of allegations. And some can trigger the coverage, and some they'll come back to you and they'll say, well, this is covered, but these 12 are not. So they slice and dice.